Done.
Thank you. Just open these and then I'll do the intro. Missed that one. Cool. Hey everyone. Welcome to SIG Autoscaling on the 26th of Feb 2026. This meeting is run by CNCF and we comply by the Code of Conduct, which boils down to be nice. So with that, we'll get started. We have a new process of going through the tests every week. It's still a new process, so we'll probably refine it as time goes on. So let's do that. We've got cluster autoscaler, VPA, and HPA. And I guess as a note, is there any others we should add over time? I don't know about Carpenter, but we can figure that
We could add
out.
the Carpenter EDEs. I can add a link for next time. We typically review them in working group, which is in 1 hour if anybody wants to join us.
Cool. Well, I guess if you review them there, is there value in adding them here?
Not really, but we could add it to the list
Yeah.
for completeness. Just skip it every time.
Maybe make a note next to it that it's reviewed in the working group meeting.
Yeah. I'm just thinking if we review it and we find something that needs addressing, you'll address it in your meeting. So we could look at it, but we won't take any action items, I guess. What's up, Jack?
Just to offer a slightly different perspective, Derek, so let's say you provide us a link with the dashboards that reflect the state of Carpenter CI. Is it digestible and easy to communicate for slightly naive folks what the state of tests are? If we could just give that a glance for 30 seconds, that would provide some signal that maybe as SIG Autoscaling, like let's say we determine it looks healthy, we can just maybe reach out and say, could you use some additional resources to help with this? It would just give us an opportunity to do that kind of paternalistic stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, I can try to find a view that's very digestible. Hopefully all greens all the time. And then, if you guys see things that concern you, we can talk about it.
Yeah, I don't think we could be concerning on a high level. It would be more like just from our wearing our SIG hat, we could call out for additional resources to the community to help lean in if that would be something that Carpenter would welcome.
Yeah, I think we would welcome that. We love people fixing our tests.
We all love people fixing our tests. Cool. Let's have a quick look. I see
Yeah.
this has failed.
There's some flakes here. There's already an issue opened for them, and we'll fix it. It's
Cool.
an infra issue with resources stockouts and such. So just either need to skip it or migrate to a different framework, which will be much more effort. So we'll see, but we should be able to get rid of the redness here soon.
I'll paste a link to the issue in chat here.
Cool. I feel like I need to get a more easily digestible view for VPA. Because this is a lot and includes things like pre-submits as well. I did see, I had a look at this earlier. I did see we have this flake, which I haven't looked into, or this failure I haven't looked into. And then I think there was this, I think was infra issue. So we're kind of all over the place. I swear there was another one. Was it this? No, okay, so CPU startup boost. Interesting that failed. This was fixed. Omar, do you remember when this merged?
Let
On
me.
weekend, I think. Okay, interesting. Yeah, I think in general the tests are mostly okay, as you can see by most of the green. But we should probably start filing issues for these flakes and seeing if we can get them sorted.
It was merged 2 days ago.
2 days ago. Which one was that? That was this one. 24th. Interesting. I wonder if it was before or after that.
Yeah, maybe we'll give it more time to see if it's
Yeah.
fixed.
Okay. But I can take an action item to file an issue for this. Although if it's only happened once, how strict on flakes should we be? Should we leave it and see if it happens again? Does anyone have opinions on that kind of stuff?
Well, it's a very difficult question to answer. Exactly. Can you constrain the question a little bit?
Yeah,
I
I
think
guess.
give, giving yourself some high level of confidence that it is indeed a flake should enable development to proceed. But uh, for the medium and long term interest of velocity, you definitely want to prioritize fixing those flakes. And also, you can never. It's really difficult to 100% prove that something's a flake. So
Yeah, I think that's
that's
kind of the problem is uh, if we create an issue and somebody picks us up, can they actually reproduce it locally? I'm gonna guess it's gonna be difficult.
yeah. That
And so
that's usually what's the state of doc like developer docs for end tests, and is it
yeah.
you'd be
Okay.
really ahead of the curve if anyone could come in and read a markdown and then within 10 minutes be jamming on end tests. That's
Hmm.
totally possible, but it required a lot of investment to get things
Yeah.
to that
Yes,
level
like
of like ergonomics.
for CA, we are planning to use Quark, I think, for that. Norbert Tiran has a proposal, and there's no bandwidth for it yet, but it's an option. I know how like that fits into VPA though, like because for CA the challenge is the cloud provider side, right? How do we mock
Yeah.
that?
I'm busy working on some on a pull request that'll move. We'll add integration tests, which will be of equivalent to some of the E2E tests. Um, I feel like it's for recommender only, but my hope is that we can start relying on that more and more, and maybe rely on E2E less and less to get rid of sort of infraflex and that sort of thing. Um, that's still going to be quite a while before we actually get to this kind of stuff. And also the actuation test requires multiple components to be running. So I don't know if these will ever be moved, but I think we are trying to improve the tests overall. So I'm not too worried about this now. I think we'll leave this for now and see how it progresses over the weeks.
Just a
Um,
quick side note, Adrian, that
yeah,
board looks great. So that's a
Yeah,
lot of discussion over a board that actually looks pretty awesome. So you're
yeah,
yeah,
doing all right.
plus one.
yeah. And I think in general we're doing okay. So it's not too big of a problem. HPA less so. It is a work in progress. I think a lot of that flake from that previous view is because of some of the work we've been doing and moving stuff around, marking some tests as slow. Um, but I think I saw a concerning flake. Actually, I'm not going to look at the pull request
The
ones. No,
previous one was
these are
pretty
good.
nasty. There was like
This
solid red
one.
across the top of them. Yeah,
This is the one that runs on pull requests, and there's a current pull request that's struggling.
gotcha.
Um, so that's work in progress stuff. Uh, this one, this one I fixed, except I fixed it knowing that the fix was going to be flaky, and I need to file an issue for this one to fix it properly. Um, because of the nature of the configurable tolerances, we have to change the fix a little, the way the test distributes load amongst the 10 to 12 pods. So this I'm okay with. I'll file an issue for it. Cool. Shall we move on? Derek Frank, would you like to take the microphone?
Yeah. So I've got a proposal here for a change to TSCs. I brought it to SIG scheduling a couple weeks ago, and they wanted SIG autoscaling input because it's working at the boundaries of the scheduler autoscaler gap. So the core problem here is that if you have a strict TSC and you either can't schedule two nodes in a topology domain for like a zonal outage perspective, or can't scale up, you end up in the state where you can't schedule any replicas of the TSC. So in a horizontally available application, you can't be horizontally available during a zonal outage. Like you can't scale up, which seems bad. So I have a proposal here for a change to fix it. It doesn't accommodate all types of auto scaling failures. In fact, it's more focused on like when you can't auto scale in the topology domain. And I wanted to give you guys a chance to read and comment. So I can give you a couple minutes to read.
It's not so long.
Is this an alternative to the other PTS cap?
It's a smaller scope, so it doesn't fix all the problems. Specifically, it doesn't deal with like capacity outages. Like if you can't get a specific instance, it doesn't handle that. But it's more so for like when you have an entire zonal outage. This is trying to fix the problem.
Are they compatible with each other, or sort of competing?
Yes,
Okay,
they're
perfect.
compatible. What's nice about this one too is it does actually work in a pre-autoscaler world. Like if you do have static capacity, this still works.
I'll definitely follow up on this offline. I also saw Daniel already active on there, so that's also a good voice to have.
Yeah.
Is this something you're looking for feedback now, or should we follow up offline and potentially chat about it next week?
If you guys have
Uh,
feedback, I'd love to hear it now. Otherwise, I'll follow up next week.
Okay. I wonder if it's also worth sending an email to SIG Autoscaling just to get it in front of more eyes, if you're good
Absolutely.
with that. Thank
Or
you.
Yeah, please
Slack.
do.
I honestly don't know which one is more like used. I would suspect Slack.
Oh, good
Just
point.
do
Yeah.
both. I would do
Yeah.
both. Sorry to annoying.
Yeah, that's for sure. Jack, huh?
Derek, did you get any feedback from scheduling? That would just help to prime my context.
Yes, they said the feedback I got was two notes. One, they're about to go under cap freeze, so this is or they were when I brought it to them. So I think it was a bit of a please don't bring this up now kind of a feedback. And then two, they wanted your guys' input first, given that this is about like uh how this is at the borders of autoscaling. So they wanted autoscaling input first, and then they were able to take a look at it.
Okay, cool. So yeah, SIG scheduling is currently thousands of depths underwater with workload aware scheduling. So what we want to do for best results is at the very beginning of the 137 cap cycle, we can so just take a note, Derek, to keep bugging auto scaling because having auto scaling give a thumbs up will give you extra ammo to bring to scheduling, who's ultimately going to be the arbiter here. So at the very beginning of the 137 cycle, you're going to want to come and push really hard for inclusion because the same thing's going to happen in 137. We're sort of in a position where we're like 2 to 4 releases of crazy workload aware, topology aware stuff going into Kubernetes, and so they're just really, really busy. So I'm just giving you some guidance. So your window of opportunity is going to be whenever that 137 April. Don't trust that. Look it up yourself. So in the meantime, we can get this into a really good state where you can get the cap accepted. Does that sound sensible? Is that helpful?
Yeah, that's super helpful.
I mean,
I'll double
it
check
might
with
be
Dave on that.
disappointing if you were hoping to get it in March, but I think that's just the state of the world right now.
I understand caps take a while.
Also, just double checking, Derek, you will email SIG Autoscaling and post a message in Slack. Is that good?
Yes.
Okay.
It's the right. I want to make sure I have the right email address for that.
It's the same as for like being invited to this meeting. If
Okay.
you're part of this
Yeah.
Google group, it's this one.
Ping me, I can help you too, Derek. Yeah, cool. So you'll do the same round in May when you have the cap actually posted. So this will be practice.
Quick shout out to whoever's taking notes. I expect it's Omiko. Thank you. Bartek.
Hey, I can take this one. Bartek got sick and couldn't join us today. So this is a bit of a sorry, a bit of formalization of what I've been talking about for some time now. Basically, extracting the core CA logic to a new dedicated repo, and then some. There's also probably some plans mentioned for what we want to do after that, and why, and some motivations. I haven't read this myself yet. I know the plan, so I don't know to like which level of detail it goes. If there's not enough detail, if we need to align on something before we can like make this initial move, this is like now is the time to bring this up. So this is especially important for the cloud provider integration maintainers. We'll also broadcast this on the other channels. I'll probably do that because Bartek's sick. Jack?
Is this a good time to bike shed, or should we? This is going to be a several months long conversation, so we can bike shed
Yes,
async.
I mean, if you have something now, should.
I'm curious about. So I think this is going to be great. It's obviously going to be a lot of work, but it's going to make so many things more extensible and modular long term. So really happy to see us investing in this. Um, I would love if we were able to land on the providers being kicked out of the repo instead of core being a separate repo. Um, so I don't know if this is like just OCD on my part, but like keeping the SIG autoscaling, keeping the current autoscaler repo for the core, and then having a plan to kick the providers out would be for me an ideal. I mean, I know that I assume the plan is going to be for the providers in the core to be in separate Go modules, right? Going forward.
Well, the plan was, and maybe let me also give some motivation for that. The plan was to sort of avoid the difficulties that KK had with extracting cloud provider code and it being a year-long battle, from what I heard. And so the plan was, in order to avoid that, we structure things so that there's no like explicit action needed from any cloud provider, and things can still keep moving. So the plan was to basically copy the existing core code to a new repository, and then have the current repository import that new repo and sort of keep the current functionality as is in the current repo, which would be like a multi-cloud provider integration. And then we'd be encouraging the cloud provider integrations to fork out to their own repos. Like that was the plan. And I think, like, I personally feel pretty strongly about going in this direction. So we definitely need to have these discussions soon, because we have to, like, we need to decide on this one first before we can actually like start any changes. And this is already happening. We're hoping to have something already like sort of in motion for KubeCon to talk about.
Cool,
Okay,
cool.
I'm done.
I'll stand down because I could talk about this for a long time. I'm looking forward to these conversations. Love to hear from Mike and Guy.
Yeah, just, to comment on what Kubo was saying there, it took us 8 years to completely remove all of the cloud controller provider code from KK. So like, and it was not easy to do, and there's still bits of testing stuff left there. So I don't have a strong opinion on make a new repo, kick everyone out of the current repo, but I can totally empathize with what's going on here. So I just wanted to add that data point. Yeah.
I guess we have in the past. I think we documented a process and a stance on abandoned effectively cloud providers. Though, so I think we should be in a place to be able to do it faster than 8 years, he says. I do worry about like losing some of that, losing the history if the core is moving out and the cloud providers stay behind, and we just still end up in a place where we've got stale cloud providers that we're like, oh, these aren't maintained anymore.
Good point. Good point. I think like specifically the history point could be addressed by just seeding the repo, which I think was the plan anyway, with the same thing, and like just cutting out the cloud providers. But yeah, definitely something to keep in mind. Derek?
Yeah, don't you end up with the same problem either way? Like you move the core code into its core repo, and then you have this CAS repo that lives for 8 years, even though it shouldn't have any code in it. Or you try to get the cloud provider code out, and you're kind of stuck for 8 years with a CAS repo that isn't fully core.
Yeah, so I guess the way we saw it, at least, it was sort of like the proposed way, in my opinion at least. It sort of sets the responsibilities, the expectations about the responsibilities correctly. Like when we do that, right, then like SIG Autoscaling focuses on the core repo, and it's the cloud provider integration maintainer's responsibility to focus on the old repo, which is now like just the integration.
Well, but we'd still do like CVE patching and stuff for
Sorry?
the regular CAS repo. Would you still do like CVE patching and stuff for the like security patching for the core repo because it still has like
That's yeah,
SIG autoscaling on code in it.
that's to be decided. That's like ideally after maybe maybe we could do the deprecation on that part, on that like multi cloud provider fork, and then after some time we stop even patching security vulnerabilities, and we encourage every integration to fork out to its own repo. But at least initially, I think we would still like at least maintain it to like it would be like in a maintenance mode. Michael?
I think Jack was before me.
Okay.
I'll be brief. Cool. To speak to Derek's question, I think Kuba's plan here is the practical plan in terms of, so the same problem exists, yes, Derek, but the idea is from a practical standpoint, splitting out the core instead of the providers, although the core is obviously much more complex and meaty. That's something that the SIG stakeholders are in control of. And so it's like a one big gesture as opposed to like 40 micro gestures that also rely on 40 folks within the ecosystem driving it. What I would suggest to avoid what Mike experienced and others in the out of tree core cloud provider effort is that we just do it and we just publish. I think we're within our sort of governance structure to just tell the provider ecosystem the maintainers are going to do this, and super open to providers pitching in and doing it on our behalf with our collaboration. But we can just do it. We can just announce. I think that's totally fair to do. Which was the scope of this is, in my opinion, much smaller than the out of tree cloud provider. That wasn't really practical for Jordan Liggett to go and worry about the Azure cloud provider for 6 straight weeks. But I think that we can get a little bit more resources and marshal some effort, and we as maintainers could do that extrication and avoid the long-term CVE maintenance of two repos. So that's what I'll be advocating. I'm super open to ideas that Kuba has, so maybe I'm not seeing things correctly, but I'll definitely take that async.
We're also definitely missing Bartek here, who'll be driving this
for sure.
Practically. So we'll definitely need to rediscuss it next week. And in the meantime, I invite everyone to voice their opinions on the issue. This will also speed things up.
But Derek, does that answer your question? Sorry to interrupt, Kuba.
No.
Like, so it's not.
No, I think that makes sense.
It is correct. It's the same sort of outcome with slightly different variations either way you go. So you just have to weigh the pros and cons of doing it either way.
Have we deprecated a Kubernetes SIG repo before? I assume. I'm not familiar with the history.
Yeah.
I'm currently working through it with a cloud provider repo at the moment.
Because is it worth it to just like we could give a timeline, like
Oh
we'll
yeah,
give you
yeah.
2 years of
That's
support,
definitely on
and
the
then
table.
it's dead.
That's
2027.
That's a very generous offer. The support model is already there. So if we as a SIG made a reasonable defensible decision to, for example, say we're cutting over starting with 137 or maybe 138 if we want to be more generous, then the support model already dictates what the folks on the old architecture would get. They would get the N-3 support that's already published. So whatever that really ends up being like 1 a year and a quarter or something like that. I think that's on the table. Sorry, go ahead, Mike.
I'll keep this brief. I guess like the question that I'll have as a follow-up to this, and I like the idea of breaking out the core repo, but is the SIG then going to be open to sponsoring provider projects? Because this may not be a big deal for some of the big providers that maintain their own, like Azure, GCP, whatever. But Cluster API would certainly want to contribute we would want the SIG Autoscaling to host our project and be the owners of it. Like we would want to bring it back to the CNCF because we don't have like a corporate sponsor or anything. So is the SIG going to be open to sponsoring provider repos that will then like come back? So it's just kind of a general question. We don't have to answer it now, but I just wanted to bring it up.
I'm personally all for it. For the like cloud provider integrations that are not tied to a particular cloud provider, right? So like gRPC, Cluster API, Quark, right? Quark, for example, probably like a cloud provider integration. One of them would be useful in the core repo anyway.
Like
Kind of,
Carpenter, we might want the Quack provider in the repo so we can
yeah, 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 yeah.
totally, that makes
It's
sense.
super
But
useful for
cluster
testing.
API also makes sense for me for sure.
Yeah, even though you didn't mention this, Mike, it actually liberates providers. If they want to host a private provider, they can now without having to maintain an entire fork of Cluster Autoscaler. So it gives that option.
Oh,
So
totally.
even though that part of the ecosystem might grow outside of CNCF, you know,
Right. But like what
li-
we see in the Carpenter ecosystem, right, is that like the AWS Carpenter is owned by AWS, the Azure Carpenter is owned by Azure. The Cluster API Carpenter is owned by SIG Cluster Lifecycle for reasons, you know.
Sorry, quick note, we're at time. The my thing on the agenda, I'm happy to talk about next week. Almiko, are you happy to bump yours till next week?
I kind of
Or is
need
it timely?
PR if it's appropriate. So
Quick answer is yes, Mike.
yes, I should put a PR, I should put a fix up.
Yes, and if there's a place that doesn't handle the new, it's a bug. We've had a number of them.
Okay, cool. I'll put a PR up. Thank you, Kuba.
It was not the greatest design choice, and hopefully we fix it after the refactors that we are planning.
Totally. Yeah, totally. Okay, cool. I found another place. So
Do you want me to carry your item over to next week, or is that a good enough answer for you?
nope, that's perfect for me. Thanks.
Cool. Okay, mine will carry over. Cool. Thanks, everyone. Great discussions.
Thank you.
See you
Bye.
online. See you next week.